Well, Keri, it is 9 o'clock.
Let's do this.
I am going to introduce you to the whole world here.
All right.
You
I'm
ready?
ready.
Alrighty. All right, everybody. For those of you who are joining in, welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a free webinar for all of you. And I have a friend of mine who I've known for years. And basically, let me just give an example of the work that she has helped me move towards. Um, in private practice and owning a business, we see surface level ways to promote our practice or become successful. Keri Nola, I've been following her prior to connecting with her, but she explored things from intuitive energy work, which I think many of us in the business world don't even adhere to because it's either so out there, so foreign, and we just don't believe it. But for those of you know, even Isaac Newton himself says energy attracts energy. Like energy is attracted to each other. So basically, what we're going to be talking about today and what Keri's going to really open your mind up to is this idea of energy or unseen work that you may be attracting in your life, right? And so Keri Nola has a few things. She is a mentor. She is a guru in this aspect. She is oh my goodness, intuitive healer, a therapist, mental health professional. My goodness, Keri, oh, she does courses, she does workshops now, and she also does she's going to do a conference. And the plug here is not only seeing her in May for the Not Your Typical Psychotherapist Summit, but also for you to attend her San Diego conference, right? So, Keri, introduce yourself to us.
Oh, hey everybody. Thank you, Ernesto, for this really warm welcome. I always love playing with you. It's easy, it's fun, it's light, it's deep, it's rich. Like we go all the places. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this conversation. And we really haven't planned a lot. So we're actually following the flow of energy, which is what I believe tends to give us the best results when we're unattached to what is happening. And yet we're holding an intention or a vision, which I think today is to explore money and abundance from a deeper perspective, a perspective that goes beyond the normal conversation that we're used to. And I find that healers and therapists in particular are really hungry for this kind of perspective because we get to use our healer frequency in building our business instead of having to become business people in a more traditional sense and losing that heart compassion, healing capacity in the process. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, absolutely. And money is such an activating topic to talk about across the board because it's rooted in family history. It's rooted in ourselves. It's rooted in the heart and in the soul and in the gut, right? So let me just ask you a broad question to start this
yeah.
off. From your perspective, Keri, money, what comes up for you?
Mm.
Money, what comes up for you? What's this energy?
Yeah, so I want to speak to what came up for me in the past because I have done this healing work. I continue to do this healing work in my relationship with money. So I think where I've come and where I am and where I'm headed are all relevant. So what I used to say about money is that it felt distant or scarce, or I didn't understand how it worked or my relationship with it. I felt like a slave to it, had to do things I didn't want to do to receive it. So there's this energy of prostitution, like not necessarily literally in like the sexual sense, but where do we feel like we have to sell ourselves out to make a buck? Where do we feel
Mm,
like we're working when we don't want to? Where do we feel like we're holding on to a job because we have to? So all of these more forced victim mentalities tend to be very paired with the shadow side of money. Um, there's also a very expansive and light frequency of money, where money is an energy of opportunity, of freedom, of life, of creation, of connection. And I think really we start to wake up to what is our relationship with money like. And what do we want it to be like? And are we willing to make the choices to begin to transform and transcend our current experience and create something new? So we really have to own our creator power and potential here, because you can't be a victim and have what you want. Those things don't go hand in hand.
It really doesn't. It's a conflicting energy that will always compete with each other. One of them will win. So as you were talking, Keri, there's a sensation in my gut. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if it's uncomfortable, but it's a sensation. And you've mentioned the word prostitution, slave, not working when we have to, just for the money. And for those of you who are listening right now on Facebook and also on Crowdcast, I would love to hear what the sensation was for you just hearing Keri. What do you think that is, Keri? This sensation, this physical sensation that we feel when money comes up like that. What is this?
Yeah, so all of our experiences and our beliefs live in our body. Our issues are in our tissues, is what one of my favorite body workers says. So our body is one of our greatest teachers and communicators about things that are attempting to get our attention. So with the topic of money, there's so much in the collective consciousness around not being able to have things, not being free, being victims of circumstance and situation. There's so many conversations right now about privilege and about, our capacities, and we're really exploring and healing a lot of this. So those of us that are drawn to conversations like this have the opportunity to really tune into where we are in our relation to abundance. Because let me tell you something, receiving money, if we're closed to receiving money, we're also closed to receiving other things, right? So just about our capacity for receiving. So if I'm not worthy of receiving money, I'm also probably running a story that I'm not worthy of receiving other things as well. So we could have blocks related to receiving support, receiving pleasure, receiving love, receiving peace, experiencing, abundance in health, right? So there's a variety of ways that our capacity for receiving begins to become affected, and our body lets us know about it. Teresa, I love that. I love money. There, I said it. Money loves you back. How about that? I love money and money loves me.
Hey,
yes.
Teresa, that's the type of frequency and energy that you should bring out into the world. Bring it out into the world, because that is a type of energy that unfortunately we are afraid to say and do. Because why? We are guilt and shamed for not loving money.
Yes.
Right?
We feel greedy for receiving it. Like we're supposed to, it's bad to do that. Let me just tell you a little something. So I have an email list, and typically about once a week, I email them different things. And a year ago, almost to the week here, I sent out an email, and the subject line was, "I do it for the money." I do it for the money. And it was the most opened and responded to email I have ever sent out. I sent it to almost 3,000 therapists and healers. And I got so much response, gratitude, thanks, because every time I talk to a therapist, they say, "I don't do it for the money." And I said, well, that's probably why you don't have any then. Because if you do it, of course you do it for the money. Who the hell are we kidding here? Like, you should start doing it for the money, and you can do it because it's why you're on the planet, and you can do it because you love your clients, and it's not an either or.
Right, it's that black and white thinking, right? The either or.
What if you were allowed to do it for the money and do it because you're called to do it? They don't have to be mutually exclusive, right? And so people who don't do it for the money typically don't have any. Anyone who has money or has the amount of money or the frequency or connection with abundance that they desire probably would be willing to admit that they do it for the money and for the host of other things too. Like we have bills to pay, but we're afraid to like admit that. We're afraid, what if our clients find out we're doing it for the money? Why are they doing their job? I mean, probably because they enjoy getting their paycheck. So how come we're exempt from that because we're in the healing industry? This is one of the collective mindsets that's being asked to shift. We're bringing a new conversation to the table. What if you're allowed to be abundant and a compassionate, open-hearted, sacred healing artist? Like, what if you could do both? Would you be willing to hold those?
Yeah. And, that is such a profound conversation to have, because it's as if we can't hold two concepts, energy, together, right? And we have to get rid of one in order to accept the other. But there's that idea that you can hold both and still be a human being, still be a whole person. So it's not that you're taking away one side, but you're also introducing another side and being okay with it, right?
Yes, absolutely. Hey, Dee Dee, so glad you're here. Absolutely. I mean, we're constantly holding things with our clients. A client is happy and sad. They're mad and they love, that their parent hurt them, but they love them too. So they're mad at them, but they love them, right? So we're bringing this concept of parts work, internal family systems, to our partnership with money. When we become partners with money, it's similar to, how many of you all have a date with your money? And how often do you date your money, right? So we would expect that. How do you imagine a relationship with a partner would go if you never went on any dates, if you never had any conversations, if you never cozied up in bed with one another together in a romantic relationship, or you never shook hands or communicated in a business partnership, right? We probably would imagine those relationships aren't going very well. But yet we want to bury our head in the sand, not look at our bank statements, not want to reconcile our accounts, not want to talk about money, how much we're making, how much we want, what our rates are. And then we're surprised that it's not going well, right? It's like, when was the last time that we checked in with our money? And what are the systems and structures we have in place to be able to do that on a regular basis? That was a game changer for me. Several years ago, I had just a come to Jesus meeting with myself. And I was like, look, this is the year that I no longer enter a feast and famine cycle, no longer paycheck to paycheck, no more. I want to do something and I don't have the money in the account for it. I refuse. I put a stop to this right now. And in that same moment, I began to identify practices that I was willing to commit to assist in this relationship building with my money. And daily journaling in conversation with my money was one of those practices. And it changed everything.
Energy work has its root in science. And let me just quickly say something about this.
Yeah.
In the brain, there is an area called the RAS, which is called, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting what that means.
I've never heard of it. I'm excited.
Yes, it's part of the brain where when we receive energy from the outside, that's a part of the brain that is looking for certain types of energy or certain types. So let's say you hear the word blue and it sticks in your mind and it gives you some sort of an energy. You see that word blue all over the place. That's the same concept.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So if you see poverty, and poverty is something that is activating to you, your brain actually seeks out ways to be poor.
Yes.
And so the energy work that you're talking about, Keri, has a lot to do, it sounds to me, as if you attract an energy that is already within you.
Yes.
And you talked about this a long time ago. And I remember you saying our very first webinar, I don't know if you remember this, very first webinar, when you said, look under the hood.
Yes.
So tell us about what is this looking under the hood in the context of your money narratives and context of your money story.
Absolutely. So looking under the hood is one of the most empowering ways that we can engage with anything in life. And the way that I do this is when something's happening in my external reality, instead of assuming that that's happening to me, I assume it's happening for me and I use it. So let's take an example of your phone's not ringing in your practice. No clients are coming. So the way that I would look under the hood is my clients aren't showing up. So then I would say, oh, thanks, Shirani.
Thank you, Shirani. I was going to make a fool out of myself, but I was like, I better stop.
You done good. Shirani knows. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So if our clients aren't showing up, then I would ask myself, where am I not showing up? Right. So that's a hard one because we get pissed. I am showing up. I'm going to my office every day. I'm going to the marketing meetings. I'm going to the networking meetings. Absolutely. That can be true. And what part of me is afraid of showing up? Right. So here's under the hood. So what is part of me afraid would happen if that phone started ringing? Okay. And we have to be willing to sit with these questions, right? Because parts of us are going to say, I'm not afraid. Okay. If you don't have what you want, something is going on inside of you that is creating resistance to that happening. That's what I would invite you to consider. And so instead of feeling like it's happening to you and there's nothing you can do about it, if you use what appears to be happening as a guide inward to ask yourself those deeper questions, then you start to meet the fears, the parts of us that are afraid that if the phone starts ringing, I might get so much business that I'm going to not be available for my kids or my family. I'm not going to know, somebody's going to call and I'm not going to know how to help them. And I'm going to feel really stupid. Somebody's going to call and I'm going to tell them my rate and they're going to say I'm a selfish bastard. Someone's going to call and, I have to make a referral because we have a conflict of interest or because I don't know much about what they have going on, right? So whatever the story is, there's all these pieces of us that are responding and creating our reality. The good news about this is that you can change it because it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And yeah, it's life-changing.
Wow. For those of you who are joining in and are listening to Keri and I just want to say that Keri will be one of my speakers in May at the Not Your Typical Psychotherapist conference. And also, Keri is hosting a very dynamic conference in January. I'll have the details. Actually, the call to action button is on the bottom. You can click on it anytime here in beautiful San Diego. And the atmosphere is just absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to be there. Would love to meet you and give you a high five or a hug or aloha. Right? Come join me. Take a selfie. Be selfie ready. That's one thing I tell people because, right? So in moving into looking under the hood, and you're right. Some people would say, well, I'm doing everything that I'm doing right now, but the phone's not ringing. I'm doing all the marketing. I'm paying this amount, and I'm still in the hamster wheel. Yeah. Right? I'm still in the hamster wheel. There's a sense of disconnect between what's going on with the heart and with the external world, our external world, right?
Yeah.
So what would you recommend for someone who is in that hamster wheel, right? They're doing all the right things, but what they expect is not coming back.
Yes. Well, first off, allow yourself to feel the feels around that reality because it sucks. I've been there. I still visit there from time to time and it sucks. So being able to say, I feel so stuck right now. I can't get out of this. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm doing all the things. I feel like I'm being punished. I'm not getting the rewards. I'm seeing other people get what they want and I'm not getting it. The universe hates me. God hates me. I'm a terrible person. Whatever that toilet bowl of despair is that we start going down,
yes,
right?
That energy of victimhood.
Yes. We just start spiraling and flushing ourselves. And that's part of our humanness, right? So I would just say, admit that's where you are, right? This is no different. And it's not going to be a surprise to any of you as therapists and healers, you get it. And then once you admit it, what are you willing to do about it? If I could change this, would I be willing to? What am I afraid would happen if my reality became different? What part of my identity is going to be challenged if this changes? If I'm no longer the person that does all the things and still doesn't get what I want? what would happen? Because we're being asked to have a significant energy upgrade here. I don't call it an energy crisis. I call it an identity upgrade. I don't call it an identity crisis, right? An identity upgrade. So to upgrade our identity, we also have to upgrade our choices. We have to upgrade our belief system. We have to upgrade our energy. We have to upgrade our daily practices, rituals, self-care. We have to upgrade the people we're spending time with, right?
Boom.
All these things come with these upgrades. So if you are called here today, you're likely in the midst of a significant identity upgrade.
Oh,
congratulations. We're here to breaking news. And
yes.
yeah, a lot of things. There's so many nuances to this. Another piece of this is sometimes we're trying to do something that's ego-based and not based from the soul. Sometimes we're trying to build a practice. And sometimes our soul doesn't want us to do that. Our soul wants us to be writing a book or speaking or expressing our healing gifts in some other capacity. So we also have to ask, what part of me is driving this goal or this mission? Whose goal is this? Is this a goal that my parents had for me? Is this a goal that a mentor or teacher has for me? Is this a goal that I'm following blindly because that's what everybody else is doing when they graduated from school? Like, if you knew you would succeed, what would you actually be doing? Right? That's one of my favorite questions. If I knew it was going to work and everyone was going to love me, because that's a big one. We're afraid of being rejected. We're afraid of not belonging. We're afraid of failing. So to get us down underneath all of that story, we can just ask, if I knew it would work, what would I be doing? And dream. You don't have to know how it's going to happen. You just have to know what you want to happen. What is that deep truth that is just burning inside of your gut? And then the universe will show you the how once you admit what the what actually is. So that's really true when we're going through an identity upgrade. Is sometimes we're trying to follow a dream that is too basic for us. It's too small. Sometimes we're charging. Yeah.
And your spirit is going, what are you doing?
You have that. There's more.
Way too damn small. You're thinking way too damn small, right? You're upgrading and you're resisting the upgrade. You're resisting that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so there's also a deep sense of compassion that's asked for here as well. It's like, it is scary. Gianni, I love that you are talking about this identity upgrade from therapist to public figure. I went through that in 2012, Gianni, and I continue to go through it. So I am on the ride with you, and it scares us to death. Absolutely. Because I just thought I was going to be a therapist until I was old and gray, sitting in an office behind closed doors where the world didn't have to see me. And I got to play small. And yes, I'm a great therapist. And yes, I did incredible healing work and I love it. Loved it. I'm retired now. But it came a point where my soul was like, it almost killed me because I was loving the work, but I wasn't paying attention to the fact that the expression of my healing gifts wanted to expand in a new direction, which was actually going to be more impactful to the planet because the number of clients I could serve was, whatever that was, 20 people a week versus now I help thousands of healers. And they're going forth to help and get their vision birthed into the world, whether that's their practice, their book, their product, their whatever they're creating. And I had to say yes to that. And I had to feel the fear. And I have to continue to feel the fear in order to rise to these new frequencies of abundance. So we're not alone in that.
Yeah. And many of us who grew up with energy level that are just on a certain type of plane. And when we are exposed to other people's energy who are above that, there's always going to be that conflict. There's always going to be that friction where your soul and your spirit makes a decision whether you go above it or stay below it to be safe. So when you are venturing outside or above that energy plane, Gianni, like what you're experiencing right now, Raquel, what you're experiencing as well too. All of you are here who are doing big things. It's uncomfortable for us spiritually, internally, but it's also uncomfortable for other people who are watching you, who are below your frequency. It's uncomfortable for them because they have to make a choice as well too, right? So as you move into your own energy, your own abundance, forced to look at themselves and go, oh, I know I can be like that, but it's scary.
Right. And now we have the frequency, the shadow of jealousy, right? So how many of you are feeling jealous of someone right now, right? So a colleague, right? Somebody that, yeah. So here's a beautiful question. Okay. What are they giving themselves permission to do, to be, or to have that you are withholding from yourself?
Oh,
Who's standing on the stage? Who's got the bigger caseload? Who's making more money? Who's saying the thing? Who's doing the thing? Right. And then, yeah, what is the thing that is being asked of you from your soul, your spirit, your life energy that you aren't giving yourself permission to do? Gianni,
wow.
I love that you're talking about, you're so aware of your fears, which is amazing because then they don't control you. I say, then they don't drive the bus of your life right off course or into that ditch. And then you wake up wondering, like, how the hell am I here? Right. And when we don't want to be in the middle of controversy, yeah, we shrink, we play small, we dumb ourselves down because controversy is scary. But what if we gave ourselves permission to say, I'm scared of being in the middle of the controversy and I got to do it. I got to be it. Here I am.
You know, that's a very, very powerful comment to step into. And Dr. Angela Clack, who's on here right now, she also wrote a book just like with Gianni, and she's moving place to place to place, right? And we all are in that point. I remember having a conversation with Dr. Clack about her movement towards being in front of an audience. And I actually said, you know, you're gonna have your own TV show one day. And her body language just ignited, and I didn't even know what was going on. Right? I think that's the type of energy work that we are just so afraid to go into and to accept. Now, somebody say, "Well, you got to be realistic." No, you be realistic.
Nothing more realistic than a miracle.
Thank you, Keri. Right? I think we live in such a non-miracle culture that we forget that we are not meant to just be behind four walls and doing the same thing over and over. We are way too creative than that.
Absolutely. What if miracles were our norm?
Oh,
like, let's just take that on. Like, wake up and say, like, surprise me, universe. Like, what miracle am I going to experience today? Are we open to miracles? Do we notice them when they happen? Yeah. And do we realize that we're in a co-creative process with what we're allowing ourselves to experience and receive?
yeah.
There's so much more for us than what we allow ourselves to receive.
Yeah.
Thank you, Angela. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Angela. I hate calling her Angela. I have to always call her Dr. Clack because
Dr. Clack.
yeah, she wants to, I think she's okay with it, but I just think she's just an amazing person. So anyway, that's just a plug to you, Dr. Clack.
I love it. We're in the presence of such amazing beings here. I love it.
I'm telling you, the energy that I'm feeling from you guys right now is it's just amazing. So here's one of the things that I do want to have a conversation about.
Yeah.
Positioning the mind, positioning your soul, positioning your spirit for to receive, okay? To receive money, to receive the energy that money provides for us. A lot of us are going through some financial trauma. And I'm going to be upfront with you that throughout my life, as a young kid growing up in Hawaii with parents who work so hard for money, right? We grew up with financial trauma. I grew up with financial trauma. And sometimes I feel like I'm repeating the same trauma over and over and over again, right? So for those of us who are seeing this type of energy of trauma in the context of money narratives and money work, I want to ask you, what are some of the things that we could do to work through that financial trauma, to work through and towards the idea of inviting money, being in love with money, having dates with money, right? Tell us a little bit more about that.
I love that you brought this up because there's financial trauma from our childhood, from our history, but also from our ancestry that's actually present in the DNA. And so when I work with money wounds, I work ancestrally, I work with present day trauma, I work past life trauma if one subscribes to that perspective. So whatever it is, it's all energy and it's bound, and we need to be able to use that as fuel to move us forward. So the first thing is identifying the beliefs. So one of my favorite practices is to just write down the word money and then set a timer for like 90 seconds and just write all of the words and phrases that come to mind when you think of money, and write all the sensations that you feel in your body. And notice if you've got just all of your, what I call them as our light parts, the parts of us we like to play with that are fun and easy, right? Is that the part we're letting talk about money? Or are we allowing our shadow parts to really emerge, the parts of us that we might like to avoid because they're uncomfortable and vulnerable and painful sometimes to be present with? So, I mean, let's all do that right now. So when you think of money, like what comes to mind? And if you had to describe your relationship with money, what would it be? Are you guys married? Are you divorced? Are you flirting? Are you estranged? If you use relationship terms with your relationship with money, right? So first of all, we've got to get really honest about what the state of affairs actually is. And as we do that, energy begins to move, things become alive, the stagnant frequency begins to loosen, and things begin to emerge and release. Because then our beliefs become choices. They're not happening to us. It's like, oh, I believe this. Well, why? Oh, because that's how it was for my family. Cool. Is that how I want it to be now? If there was another way, would I be open to it? And then we allow the expansion to emerge from that place. If you guys, so I have a podcast with my business partner, Lloyd. It's called the Healer's Code podcast on iTunes. And we did an episode, I think it was episode 6, with a therapist, Sarah Gilbert. I don't know if Sarah's on here with us today, but we did live coaching with Sarah around her money wounds in this episode. Her deceased father, actually, his energy was present, and we're moving some energy. And in January, we're launching a follow-up episode with her about what happened. I'll give you a sneak peek. She started peaking and having her highest income months ever. She broke through her abundance goal for the year, and she's on track for 6 figures next year in her therapy practice. Couldn't even say the figure before that. And so that's the kind of stuff that excites me, is being able to very quickly, sometimes it's not quick, sometimes it takes time. So I don't want to give a false, a false perspective, because we're in dense physical reality here. And sometimes it just takes time. We've got lifetimes and lifetimes, ancestors upon ancestors to move energy with. And sometimes it can clear in an instant. So just be open to the miracle, be open to your process and what it wants to look like. But yeah, those are some ideas.
That's amazing. So being very present with all the sensations, being present with everything that's within you, being more aware of that, it helps shifts the energy work into more of abundance work. This is so amazing to hear this, because like I said, a lot of us are doing the tactics of growing our practice. But when you don't look under the hood and see what energy is in there, if there's some ancestry wounds, if there's some family wounds, even past life wounds, you are really not digging deeper into the soul work of money narratives, right? And accepting abundance.
Absolutely. There's always more available for us. And one of my favorite mantras to work with around not only money, but receiving in general is thank you, more please. I want to invite you to say that wherever you guys are right now. I want you to just pause and breathe and really get in your body and just say, thank you, more please. Right?
Thank you, more please. I'm going to add a little attitude to that.
Go for
Keri.
it. Go for it.
I would say exactly that. I would say something like this. And I want you guys to say it with me, because I'm just so inspired by Keri right now. I would say, wait. Thank you, and hell yeah, more please.
I
More,
love it.
please.
Hell yeah, more, please. More. Yeah. So I love it. Beautiful, Nick. Bye, Mari. I don't know if you left yet. Oh, can you put the podcast in the notes? Dr.
Yeah.
Clapp is asking. That's awesome.
Yes. What I'll do is,
podcast.
for those of you who've registered, you will have a free a copy of this webinar. Okay. For those of, I'm going to edit it. I'm going to give it to you for free. We really want you to experience abundance, more of it in 2019, obviously. But you will have a free copy of this video. So just sign up on my email list. You will get it. You will get it in your email box. So.
I want to ask about what's happening for people as they say, thank you, more please, because that gives us a little clue about your capacity for receiving. So what is that? So you say, thank you, more please. And then what happens? Is there a constriction in the body? Is there a thought of, oh, I can't have more? Oh, that's so greedy though. What I heard when I first started playing with this a few years ago was just be grateful. Just be grateful for what you have. Aren't you grateful? Don't you have enough? So there's all these ideas of not being allowed to have more. And that's again and. We can be grateful and open to receiving more. The universe wants to give us more. There is infinite possibility, potential, resources available for us. We have been under the delusion, right? And we have a distortion that says there is not enough. Okay, right. I'm not going to buy into that anymore. Those of us who want to, absolutely feel free. That will affect your reality. And then I get shamed for this perspective, right? People attempt to say, well, but look at this person and look at this reality. So I'm not saying people aren't experiencing an experience of poverty or scarcity. What I'm saying is the more of us that claim and stop buying into the distortion that we can't have, we begin to free the people and the energy on the planet, and more resources begin to reveal themselves. Okay, this is a very vast universe capable of providing for us. And we're in a time right now where we are asleep to what is available to us. And somebody has to wake up first and then wake up the rest of the house. So is it going to be you that's going to assist with this? We can't give what we don't have. So if we play into the poverty narrative, we can't support the people who need us. When you get a call and you want to do pro bono work, but you can't pay your own bills, you can't do it, right? So we've got to create that situation. And if you have the resources to be on this webinar, you have internet connection, you've got, all of this, you've got a degree, then you have the capacity to heal this scarcity mindset and be a force of abundance on this planet and assist with the raising of consciousness around money.
Awesome. So complete awareness, or somewhat the direction towards a complete awareness of the abundance mentality of what goes on under the hood, right? Per se, the spiritual work that you have to do, because, money is, for those of us who grew up in certain cultures where money is seen negatively, it's a challenge for us to fall in love with money again. And in the mental health world, we are notorious for shaming people. And I've been on the end of this, and I'm working through it, shaming people, therapists who are so valuable, and they charge their worth, but that they're way above that number, right? That financial cost, that people really can't. I remember the first time when I had a client and I really moved into this, and I think it came out of my anger. He says, I can't really afford you. And then when they hung up the phone, I said under my breath, of course you can't, but that was it. That was, and I sat there and go, why did that come up? What was it that inspired me or forced me to say that? Am I angry? Am I really moving into my actual worth, that people really can't afford me? And the number that I just state for them is a realistic number based on what I think cognitively is in the market out there. Yeah. But I got to tell you guys this, and Keri, you're very inspirational in this and pivotal in my own work, is that let's just face it, no one can afford all of you. Okay,
True
you
story.
are much more, you are just more valuable than anything out there. The money that the money that you state on your website or to your clients is just, it's
That's
pro
right.
bono.
Yeah, what I say is we don't price according to our worth because we're priceless, but we price according to the energy that we feel called to exchange for the space holding, the wisdom, and the skills that we're going to be offering and sharing. And people don't have to buy it if they don't want to. I think that's the other idea. Here's another, okay, this blew my mind when this information downloaded to me. And that is, when we are under the assumption that people need us, we disempower them, right? People don't need us. They want us. Okay. Everyone has what they need within themselves. Okay. Even when they are struggling, okay, we've got to start believing that people have what they need. If we are what they need, they would be able to afford us. If they can't afford us, then we can't be what they need, because the universe is always in perfect order, right? So they might think that they need what we have, but that might not necessarily be true. So we do not have to bend to the will of a seeming circumstance that is a distortion. It's an illusion. Our clients don't need us. They want us. And we disempower them when we believe that. It's a story. It's steep in the mental health field, and I refuse to buy into it anymore. And just, full transparency, my practice was complex trauma and dissociation. So I worked with a lot of people who appeared to need me. And when I stopped buying into that, they started healing. They started making more money. They started having more resources, because when I stopped colluding with the fact that they were victims of their reality, they were colluding with that too. So you see how this is like, when we heal, we become mirrors. It's like, if I can have what I want, so can you. But you start telling people they're worthy of having what they want, but you're not living that. It's an incongruence in the energy. We don't have to tell people that. But yeah, that's the
Energy attract energy, you guys. So, when you empower and not disempower your clients, when you empower them, they actually bring you back what you've given to them.
yes.
Right? It's just I know that for a fact. Even the outside world,
Yeah.
I'm the testimony of that, and you are speaking truth, Keri. So let me just
Karen.
let me just give a plug. This is Keri Nola. She will be one of my speakers at the Not Your Typical Psychotherapist Summit. She will go in great details about this. She's got some incredible exercises for you. And also, if you can come out to San Diego for her conference, the link is actually in the call action button. And for those of you on my email list, you will get a free video of this and a link to her conference. I will be there. And just experiencing the energy of abundance will be amazing for you. It's worth it. So I want you guys to show up.
I would love to see you guys there.
Yes.
I want to say that you guys all manifested some extra abundance, because I felt called to put the price back down to what it was during early bird registration. So it's $111 for 2 full days of upgrading your abundance and activating your client attraction. January 12th and 13th in San Diego. It's the first time I'm getting on stage in a while. We have 61 therapists and healers already joining us. There's a handful of seats left, and it would just be such an honor to play with all of you guys and be able to deepen into this. I'm going to be doing some live coaching from the stage. My best friends and teammates are coming. My lawyer's flying out to talk legal love with expanding our consciousness around these topics. One of my friends, who's one of the top-notch storytelling marketers, she's made her clients over $5 million in using story to market, which is epic for us as healers, because we don't want to be manipulative and slimy, right? So she'll be teaching us how to use story to market in a way that's ethical and allows us to keep our credibility as professionals. So we might not use our own story, but how we can use story. And then one of my best friends is coming to talk about branding and how to really tune into our own core essence so that our clients can find us, because they're looking for us. And if we're trying to be the cookie cutter version of somebody else, they often don't hire us because they don't know it's us. They're looking for who we actually are.
So our friend Stacy Horn says, nothing typical with Keri Nola. You're absolutely right.
Oh, Stacy, I love you. Can't wait
Yeah,
to play with you.
nothing typical. So we've got a couple seconds here.
Yeah.
Actually, what is your ending remark? Love you too. What is your what energy do you want to put out there of love, of abundance, of work, to all the people who are listening, also on social media right now on my Facebook uh, uh, live streaming video? What would you want to say to them?
Let's see. Yeah, the phrase that's coming is you can have it all. As soon as you're ready, you can stop believing all of the ideas that came before you that you're tuning into. So our beliefs are like a channel. So if you choose to take the remote, and if you keep watching the channel that says, I don't have enough, I'm not enough, I have to do it this way, I have to do it that way, then that is what you're going to be creating and living. If you choose to change the channel and watch and tune into the frequency that says, the universe is mine, I'm constantly co-creating with it, I'm allowed to have what I want, I accept what is mine, and I use that frequency to serve and to influence and to impact in massive ways, then so it is. So that's my invitation. What have you been tuning into? What channel have you been tuned into? And are you willing to change the channel and to do the work and to play in the new frequency? I'm not about spiritual bypass where we just say I'm changing the channel, but we're not doing the work that it takes to go from one channel to the next. And I am about it being able to be light and playful and fun. And pay attention to, there's another message coming through. It says, pay attention to who you're hanging out with, because the energy of your primary crew influences your capacity to change the channel. So if other people are watching the old channel and you're trying to change the new channel, it's like you guys are constantly fighting for the remote. But if you choose to be around people who watch the channel that you want to be tuned into, then they help you stay on that channel.
Well, on that note, we want to thank all of you who have joined and who are going to join Keri's conference in San Diego and the Not Your Typical Psychotherapist Summit. You guys are amazing people. I just felt all of your energy right now through your comments and all through Facebook. I wish I could be engaging more on Facebook and here, but I just was so present with what Keri is saying, right? Again, you guys will all get a copy of this video. Just watch out for it on your email mailbox. And if you have any comments at all, email me. I look to really engage with you more in the future, okay? So just in time, and it looks like Keri froze. Anyway, guys, aloha. Thank you so much for joining in. You guys are all absolutely amazing. Bye-bye.